All right, guys. First, just kind of a general announcement. After school, I have a program. I'm taping it so I can put it on the thing. All right, I forgot to do it yesterday.
So I'm gonna be in it.
Now you are, because you were talking. All right. At least when we were talking about you being a bad kid, that wasn't on it. So that part's good. Okay. I'm here after school Monday through Thursday from 3 to 5. So you're welcome to stay anytime to get work done for English, or if you have another class you need to get caught up on. You obviously don't have to stay until 5 if you don't want to. If you just need to stay till 3:30 or whatever, that's cool. If you don't want to stay or it's an e-learning day, you can join by Google Meet. So if you just go to Google Meet, click join, and just type in Olson as the access code. This computer will be right over there. You don't have to. It's if you want to. If you need help. So you pop in with a quick question or whatever.
What's the code again? I need to write it. Don't forget it in less than 5 minutes. I don't write it down.
Well, you have a writing utensil, I think. So anytime you need to do that, it's cool. All right. Next semester too, if you need to stay, or next 9 weeks, I should say, if you need to stay to get stuff caught up, I'll be here. All right. Easy enough?
I have work.
Okay. Go ahead and log into Canvas using the internet. All right, use the internet, elcar.instructure.com. I want to look at the standards real quick. All right, so go in, look at grades.
I can't get it.
Where's your?
It doesn't work.
What do you mean it doesn't work?
That's what it said.
No, we got a couple new things to do, but then you'll have some time to get some stuff done too. Yeah.
Right?
All right. Once you are there, look at your overall grade. First and foremost, overall grade, which is you should look at every day, and then go to the learning mastery. If you look RL.3.1, all right, there's 4 assignments attached to it. You need to have all 4 assignments at 3 or better. All right. In a minute, I'm going to put either a 1 or a 0 in the grade book for that in Canvas. If it's a 1, your grade's going to go way up. If it's a 0, your grade's going to go to an F. All right. The good news is that all you got to do is either do or fix the assignments involved in that standard, and I'll talk about that individually with each of you, what you need to do to get that up. So there'll be time at the end of class, and then pride period, and we can get that caught up real quick. All right. Any questions about that? All right. Find in Canvas assignments fallacy notes.
Are you still videoing?
Yes.
Why?
Because you got to do the whole lesson, not the first 17 seconds.
Oh, I thought you were just making a video about like
No, we're gonna.
the live. Who are you posting this for?
I post it for everybody.
Since when do you post videos?
It's in the agenda.
Oh,
Are you telling me you haven't looked at my agenda?
no. I want to be in the video. Oh, ew. That makes me look bad. Don't cut that out.
You were on the wrong internet. All right, open the link. Make a copy. Okay, the standard we're going to be dealing with for a while, RN.4.1. All right, it says delineate and evaluate the argument, specific claims in a text, assessing whether the reasoning is valid and the evidence is relevant and sufficient. Identify false statements and fallacious reasoning. So what we're going to be doing the next couple weeks is looking at things like advertisement, short speeches, things like that, and finding out basically how they're trying to trick us. Okay? So for the notes, go ahead, find Fallacy Notes, click it, open it. Starting on this slide, logical fallacy, you'll see a spot in the Google Doc. If you're in the Google Doc,
Oh,
you'll see brackets, and the brackets will match up with the red. Make sure you're there. Get that good. You will get points for this. You're not actually going to turn it in. I'm just going to walk around and make sure you're doing it, and then I'll put points in green. So fallacy notes. Once you're there, you can start typing it in. Yep, perfect.
I can what?
So you see where the brackets are?
Oh, yeah.
Matches up with the red. All right, so logical fallacy is when there are common errors in reasoning that will undermine the logic of your argument. They can either be illegitimate arguments or irrelevant points, often identified because of lack of evidence that supports the claim. All right, so when you make an argument, you want to deal with facts and statistics. Fallacies are when you start using other things to try to make your point. And as we go through like the notes today, you might think of some, but definitely tomorrow, I'm gonna have you look at a few advertisements, and we're gonna match them up and explain. But we see fallacies all over the place. They're everywhere. Sorry, they're everywhere, and so as we start going through it, I think you'll be like, oh, yeah, I do see this all the time. First off, everybody have the notes up. Everybody typing. Okay. Give you 1 second because I know a couple people are a little bit behind.
Is this a Google slide or a Google Doc?
Doc. If you just go to Fallacy Notes, click copy, you'll be good. There you go. Okay. All right. Okay, next one, if you need me to come back in a minute, I can come back in a minute. That was the longest slide, so we'll be good. So, Aristotle's 3 rhetorical appeals. This one is in one of the IXLs, if you haven't done it yet. So I think it's H, the last one in H, make sure to do it. But ethos deals with the credibility or character. So when they're making an argument, they're basing it more on the fact that they're an authority figure than their facts. Pathos is when they rely on emotion. And then logos when they look at that logic or reasoning.
I thought these were like. No,
Might be different if we're going to go to kind of some more specific ones. That is what you see.
I thought these were like gods, like like.
Oh, yeah, right. I mean, he's a little old, so.
Like Zeus.
No,
No. Okay.
not so much. I see what you're saying. I am not lying.
Also, why can't school Google accounts after we graduate?
I have no idea.
Do we just keep them forever?
I don't know. I really don't know. That's a good question. Everybody good with these three? Okay. Ad hominem means you're attacking the person. Attack the person and not the issue. All right, so you're having a debate. You want to see, what's the best, and instead of, just talking about the facts of two things, you're like, well, that person's
Do I get to
stupid.
keep this?
Not smart.
Why? Don't give me a book.
My
Why do I
sister
have
likes
to
to
read?
Like,
gonna hurt my
times during arguments. And then for like half an hour after we're done with the argument, she complains and whines to my mom, telling me about everything that I did. And then I get drunk. This reminds me. But how do I counter that?
I got nothing. Good luck. That's all I got. Everybody good? Okay.
No, I'm not good.
Appeal to emotions. Manipulate people's emotions in order to get their attention away from the important issue. And the issue may still be important, but instead of just arguing the facts of it, they try to make you feel bad. All right. So we've all seen these dog commercials with the terrible looking dogs and the sad music, and they're like, give money so we can help them.
They look like 90% money.
Some of them do. All right. But they're playing more at your emotions than just the fact of it. All right. So
Look at all the cat.
that dog looks sad. Sad puppy dog eyes.
I could care less.
Oh, can you go back to the other slide?
And a little bit. What do you need? Forget. Against the person,
Oh, and then that's.
not the issue. Good.
Wait, is everyone that takes your class gonna see that video?
Good.
They loved for
Can
it.
you cut me out of it?
Oh, that's a lot of work. Bandwagon.
Editing stuff. Just retake the video and throw it in the class.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
Oh, no.
Creates the impression that everybody is doing it, so should you. If you're a sports person, you've heard of a bandwagon fan where they like a team just because they happen to be good that year.
Yeah, disgusting.
The example here, with McDonald's, 99 billion served. So since all those people are eating it, maybe I should too. Also, have you ever had somebody say, like, I want to do it, whatever it is, and someone's like, no. And you're like, but so and so is. And then they're like, well, if they would jump off a bridge, would you follow them? That's bandwagon too.
Well, we're just only like 2.
Fair enough. Everybody good? Okay. False dilemma limits the possible choices to avoid consideration of another choice. So usually when you're dealing with a choice, no matter what it is, there's multiple ways to solve it. All right. The false dilemma tries to box you into a right or wrong with no middle ground, just two answers. So the example, either you love bacon or you're wrong. No, I love bacon, but some people don't. Some people are allergic to pork. Some people are vegan. Some people are vegetarians. Some people are just healthy. All right.
Muslim people can't eat pork.
Yes, that too, right? So there's numerous reasons not to eat bacon.
Why can't Muslim be pork?
Because it's not. All right. Everybody good? Appeal to the people. All right, uses the views of the majority as a persuasive advice. They like to use celebrities for this. So Gatorade, when they show all Michael Jordan doing awesome things, they want you to think, oh, if you drink Gatorade, you'll be like Michael Jordan when you're not. Pretty good. Scare tactic, all right, creates fear in people as evidence to support a claim. So instead of just talking about facts, they do something to try to scare you. All right. So here's an example from drugs. Instead of just laying out the facts, I think we all know drugs are bad for you. They show you that picture to try to scare you. Just looking at the facts. They used to have those commercials with like, this is your brain on drugs with the eggs. They crack the eggs. Like that.
I spaced out a little bit on the past two slides.
Oh, I have a thing I can show you. Get this one, scare tactic. We good? False cause wrongly assumes a cause and effect relationship. So the cartoon, it's hard to see, but the dude that's bald, he's like, hey, really good thing. I shake my head, and the guy's like, why?
What was
like,
the one before this?
Isn't that so awesome?
It's just, I don't know why it looks like that. But he's like, I was able to do it because I shaved my head. He was just able to do it because he had the skills, had nothing to do with shaving his head. So they create a cause and effect relationship that just isn't there. Here. Evidence to support a claim. We good? All right, hasty generalization. This can also go along with stereotyping. Draws a conclusion based on a small sample. So the picture there, you got the guy in the right car that's angry at the yellow sports car. He's like, all sports car drivers are idiots. When it's really he's just mad at the one dude there. You got that out, right?
Why does his body look so proportioned?
The cartoonist just wasn't the best. They gave it a go. They were a lot better than me.
It's like a kindergartner trying to get.
That's better than a kindergarten. Kindergarten's like stick figures. If that.
Right? Can barely.
We good?
His arm is just so disproportionate.
All right, I think there's two more. So we got the red herring presents an irrelevant topic to divert attention away from the original issue. So you're debating, you're going back and forth, and a person, instead of continue to argue the facts, changes the topic or brings in a new topic that's completely different than what you were talking about. So you could, in the hopes that you'll drop what they were talking about, usually because they were probably losing. Good. All right, last one. Traditional wisdom uses the logic of the way things used to be is better than they are now, ignoring any problems of the past. So they're like, this is how we've always done it, so we should continue to do it. And they might be able to tell you a good reason or two why, but they also forget about all the problems. So like, just because you used to do something a certain way doesn't mean you should continue to do something a certain way.
What is this about?
We'll talk about it in a couple moments.
I remember in like 6th grade where we had to read Hugo. That's
I haven't read that one.
they made us read Hugo. It's like this big.
I don't know.
You've never heard of Hugo?
I've heard of it, I just haven't read it.
You've never seen the movie?
No.
It's good.
Everybody good? All right, so the book I gave you, The Alchemist, put your name in it because it is yours to keep. So go ahead and put your name in it. It's made. Go ahead and turn to page 5. All right, so skip the introduction, skip the prologue. It'll say part 1, and then it'll have a blank page, and it's like page 5. They only number the even side. So it'll look like this. What? All right. It'll look like, there we go. All right. One day, if you're at home and forgot your book, left it somewhere, in Canvas, the home screen, right underneath the house on Mango Street, just says The Alchemist. You click on that. Scroll down. Thank you. Past the introduction, and you see here where it says like 5, 6, 7 on the left-hand side. That corresponds to the page numbers from the book. That makes sense? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Thank you. All right.
There's no page numbers.
The evens are page numbers. And this is just in case you forget your book. All right. So today we're going to focus on the standard RL.3.1, which is the one that deals with the structure of writing. So we looked at it with House on Mango Street, the first vignette, where we looked at the flashback with her and the nun and how she was ashamed of her house. You guys remember that one? All right. Well, today's reading, we're going to have 2 flashbacks in these few pages that we read. And so when you get to the end of today's quiz, you're going to think back on those 2 flashbacks, tell me what it enabled us to get to know about the book and about the character, and it'll allow you to check off that standard. All right. Everybody on page 5? All right, I'm going to start reading. I'm just going to read a few pages. I'm going to get us through the first flashback, and then I'm going to give you just a couple little instructions and give you a chance to get some work done. All right? So let's follow along on page 5. Zach, you good, man? Page 5. Okay, here we go. The boy's name was Santiago. Dusk was falling as the boy arrived with his herd at an abandoned church. The roof had fallen in long ago. An enormous sycamore had grown on the spot where the sacristy had once stood. He decided to spend the night there. He saw to it that all the sheep entered through the ruined gate and then laid some planks across it to prevent the flock from wandering away during the night. There were no wolves in the region, but once an animal had strayed during the night, and the boy had to spend the entire next day searching for it. He swept the floor with his jacket and lay down using the book he had just finished reading as a pillow. He told himself that he'd have to start reading thicker books. They lasted longer and made more comfortable pillows. It was still dark when he awoke, and looking up, he could see the stars through the half-destroyed roof. Top of page 6. I wanted to sleep a little longer, he thought. He had the same dream that night as a week ago, and once again he had awakened before it ended. He arose and, taking up his crook, began to awaken the sheep that still slept. He had noticed that as soon as he awoke, most of his animals also began to stir. It was as if some mysterious energy bound his life to that of the sheep, with whom he had spent the past 2 years, leading them through the countryside in search of food and water. They are so used to me that they know my schedule, he muttered. Thinking about that for a moment, he realized that it could be the other way around, that it was he who had become accustomed to their schedule. But there were certain of them who took a bit longer to awaken. The boy prodded them one by one with his crook, calling each by name. He had always believed that the sheep were able to understand what he said. So there were times when he read them parts of his books that had made an impression on him, or when he would tell them of the loneliness or the happiness of a shepherd in the fields. Sometimes he would comment to them on the things he had seen in the villages they passed. But for the past few days, he had spoken to them about only one thing: the girl, the daughter of a merchant who lived in the village they would reach in about 4 days. He had been to the village only once the year before. The merchant was the proprietor of a dry goods shop, and he always demanded that the sheep be sheared in his presence so that he would not be cheated. A friend had told the boy about the shop, and he had taken his sheep there. All right, we're going to start the flashback now. I need some wool. I need to sell some wool, the boy told the merchant. The shop was busy, and the man asked the shepherd to wait until the afternoon. So the boy sat on the steps of the shop and took a book from his bag. I didn't know shepherds knew how to read, said a girl's voice behind him. The girl was typical of the region of Andalusia, with flowing black hair and eyes that vaguely recalled the Moorish conquerors. Well, usually I learn more from my sheep than from books, he answered. During the 2 hours that they talked, she told him she was the merchant's daughter and spoke of life in the village, where each day was like all the others. The shepherd told her of the Andalusian countryside and related the news from the other towns where he had stopped. It was a pleasant change from talking to his sheep. How did you learn to read? The girl asked at one point. Like everybody learns, he said, in school. Well, if you know how to read, why are you just a shepherd? The boy mumbled an answer that allowed him to avoid responding to her question. He was sure the girl would never understand. He went on telling stories about his travels, and her bright Moorish eyes went wide with fear and surprise. As the time passed, the boy found himself wishing that the day would never end, that her father would stay busy and keep him waiting for 3 days. He recognized that he was feeling something he had never experienced before: the desire to live in one place forever. With the girl with the raven hair, his days would never be the same again. But finally, the merchant appeared and asked the boy to shear 4 sheep. He paid for the wool and asked the shepherd to come back the following year. All right, I'm going to give you a chance to go ahead and finish reading and then take the quiz in Canvas, The Alchemist 5 to 13. That last question paid special attention to the structure, specifically that flashback I just read, and there's going to be one more. When you're done, I want you to fix the standards for RL.3.1. Some of you need to do some of those assignments first. So if you go to standards look, if you're unsure, just ask me and I can look it up for you. I'm also going to come around with one of those little quarter sheets that has all your zeros, everything that you still need to work on to get done. All right. So if you have any questions, just holler and I will help you. Everybody good? All right, ready, set, go.